Hello, everybody. My name is Max, and today we're going to talk about the 2022 United States Senate elections. And I'm going to make my own prediction about this right now. As you can see here on this map, I've already filled in all the states that are going to be safe for either party in dark red and dark blue. I'll I'll now get to the actually interesting part, where we'll classify the races that will be at least remotely competitive. And by that I mean they're going to be within 15 points. Now, the likely states first. For the Republicans, I believe that the state of Ohio is going to be a likely one, simply because of the fact that the Republicans have been on the rise in the state of Ohio. And as it looks right now, the Democrats are going to run Tim Ryan, who definitely is a better candidate than most people are, but still, Ohio is a very quickly changing state, and I don't really believe that anybody could turn the writing on the wall around. Another likely state would be Florida. Marco Rubio is the Republican incumbent over there, and he has a record of winning elections by decently big margins, and that could very well happen again this time around, especially if he runs against Val Demings, who I don't believe to be a very strong candidate. Though that should be it for the likely Republican states. Now we'll get into the likely Democratic states, and there are also two of them: Colorado and Illinois. Now, Colorado will be at the bridge of being a safe state, but Illinois will be as well. Now, the reason why I believe Illinois won't be safe but likely is because it was one of the very few states that actually swung, not just trended, but swung to the right in 2020, a year in which the country itself went heavily to the left. And Colorado, um, some people would say it's going to be a safe state, but even though the Democrats are in a pretty good position in the state of Colorado, I wouldn't go as far as saying that it's a completely safe Democratic state. Nonetheless, the Democrats obviously have the advantage in Colorado, and that's the reason why it's classified as likely. Now, next up are the lean margin states, and we're going to start with the Republicans here as well. Now, I honestly believe Wisconsin will be a lean margin state if incumbent Senator Ron Johnson runs again. Now, obviously, Ron Johnson is a pretty far right figure, which is pretty surprising considering the fact that he comes from a swing state. But I believe he should be pretty secure. Unlike most of his opponents, Ron Johnson does have a pretty large amount of name recognition, and he can appeal to workers, especially in the rural parts of the state, due to his aggressive and somewhat populist rhetoric. But he isn't as much of a right wing populist as, for example, Josh Hawley. He's more like a high energy guy yeah, who's just, I totally, I'm losing it right now. But the fact of the matter is, due to the incumbency and a lot of people knowing him, Ron Johnson should have a pretty easy path to victory. If it's not him, then the state would probably be tilt. But as long as he doesn't officially announce his retirement, we're going to classify it as lean R. Now, the next lean Republican state, I'm kind of having a difficult time doing it because I could put it as tilt as well, but I think North Carolina is going to be lean Republican. The primary field for the North Carolina Republican Senate nomination is pretty crowded. I do expect Ted Budd to pull it off. Then it would be a lean R state, but in case if Pat McCrory actually wins the nomination, it's a complete toss-up because Pat McCrory wasn't popular, and he even lost his re-election bid as governor in a year where the Republicans won the state on the presidential level by 4.5 points. If I was the North Carolina Republican Party, I obviously wouldn't nominate McCrory, but Ted Budd instead. All right then. I actually don't believe that there are other lean Republican states. New Hampshire would be if Chris Sununu announced his run, but he hasn't done so yet. And since we're working under the assumption of this very moment and not speculating about candidates that will declare in the future, I'm going to put it as lean D. Another state that will be lean D is Nevada. I'm mostly doing this because Nevada almost always is a lean Democratic state. I do believe they have one statewide elected Republican official, but in all the big elections, Republicans seem to be losing every single one of them by 2.4%. It's really funny. They always lose by 2.4%, and the Democrats always win by 2.4%. This is not a very flexible state. It almost always has the same margins, and if the Republicans wanted to turn it around, they'd have to do better in the Clark County area and do better in the Washoe County area at the same time. The Democrats just have to do one of the two things, and that would be enough. Now, next on the map we have the tilt states, and I believe that Arizona will tilt in the Democrat Party favor. Arizona is still a pretty competitive state, unlike, for example, Georgia. I actually believe that Georgia would be a good take for lean because it's a changing state. The suburbs are growing, and it's getting more and more difficult for Republicans to win there. But Arizona is a different case. In Arizona, I do believe Mark Kelly is favored, though. Mark Kelly is the incumbent, and as of right now, haven't seen any really good candidates to challenge him. If Mark Kelly stays in line with his record that he has built up of being a moderate, I don't think he's going to lose. And just as the last time, I believe Mark Kelly will carry Maricopa County, and that will carry him to victory. It has almost never happened in the history of the state of Arizona that somebody won the state without winning Maricopa County. That's where the population hub is, and that's where the election will come down to. Now, the last state on the map is probably the one that will be the most competitive, and that is Pennsylvania. We have totally no idea yet who's going to win. For the Democrats, it could either be Connor Lamb, a representative from the West, or John Fetterman, who's the lieutenant governor. Well, for the Republicans, it's likely going to be either Sean Parnell, the former opponent of Connor Lamb in a congressional race, or it could be, I forgot the name, but it was a representative from suburban Philadelphia who lost his seat due to redistricting. And I believe for the Democrats, it will likely be Connor Lamb, and for the Republicans, Sean Parnell. So we're going to see a repeat of the election within one district in Pennsylvania, but this time on the statewide level. And due to name recognition and the fact that he's already a congressman, I believe that Connor Lamb would narrowly pull it off. But this is really just the standing at the moment, and in general, Pennsylvania is a complete toss-up. We'll have to see what happens. But nonetheless, this is my prediction as of right now. I do believe that the Democrats are going to get one seat in Pennsylvania, and other than that, not all that much is going to change. Unless Chris Sununu does announce his run for Senate in New Hampshire. He's a very popular governor. Maggie Hassan isn't too popular herself. I believe then Republicans would flip New Hampshire, and it will be a complete tie. Alright then. I hope you really enjoyed this video, and I also hope that this prediction ends up coming true, or if not, another one that I'm making. Oh, it's a quick side note. Alaska is a safe Republican state because of ranked choice voting, but it still will be a competitive race between incumbent Senator Lisa Murkowski and a more far-right primary challenger. Nonetheless, I think we're done here. See you next time.